And let's go to Bill from Saline, who joins us this morning. Hi, Bill. Thanks for calling, and how may we help you, sir?
Joseph, this is Bill and Celine. We've been trading emails for the past couple of weeks about some issues that we've had with our furnace for the past 4 years.
I remember that original call you made to me that you'd had so many parts changed on your furnace. It was a Coleman furnace, am I correct?
It is, in fact, a Coleman furnace.
Well, run through the format here so our listeners can understand what happened to Bill from Saline when he called the Appliance Doctor radio program. And again, folks, I'm not an expert on heating and air conditioning. I know some of it. I worked in some of it. But when I don't have an answer, I rely on other people. So, Bill, go through the format of what happened with you.
Well, about 4 years ago, Joe, the furnace stopped working. It wouldn't light up and produce heat or anything else. So we called our heating and cooling folks. They came out, and the guy said, "Well, it's your computer." So they replaced the computer, and $300 later, we had a new computer, and it still didn't work. So I called them back out, and long story short, virtually every part in that furnace wound up being replaced. And they did a majority of the work for free. They didn't even charge us because they didn't know what was wrong with it. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. We even had a Coleman representative out here taking a look at the furnace, and he said, more than likely, you've got low gas pressure. So so we're supposed to have called DTE out here, and DTE came out and said the vent for your gas meter is just fine. You know, you should be getting plenty of gas, and this has been going on for 4 years. So I've worked around it by leaving the door to the furnace room open and the cover to the furnace off, because when it gets down below 20 degrees, the furnace would not light up. Anything below 20 degrees, and it would act like it was going to start, and it wouldn't start. So I would wind up having to turn the furnace on and off 4 or 5 times before it would finally start. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had a senior moment and decided to get a hold of Joe Gannon, the Appliance Doctor. And I figured he'd say something like, "Well, throw some Tang in there and it'll fix it up." But he wound up sending an email to a lovely young lady by the name of Jennifer McAdams over at DTE, and she called the house and she said, "Bill, we're going to get your furnace fixed no matter what." So I have been talking to her over the past couple of weeks and working through this. She even gave me her personal cell phone number so I could call her at any time to discuss any of the issues. And yesterday, a nice young man by the name of Courtney from DT came out, replaced our gas meter. Last night, our furnace came on all night long with no issues.
Only because he changed the gas meter.
He changed the gas meter. As it turns out, the gas meter that we had has what's called an internal regulator that regulates the gas pressure. And those, I have found out, seem to have a tendency not to work as well as the old ones with the external regulator on them. So what had happened was it wasn't delivering enough gas pressure to the furnace. Now the hot water heater and our dryer still worked fine because they require lower gas pressure. But the furnace wouldn't light up. I'd have to turn the thing on and off manually 5 or 6 times. And now it's fixed.
And you've been going through this for 4 years?
For 4 years.
Well, you sent me a whole list of the parts that were replaced, and virtually everything has been replaced in the furnace. Now, Jennifer McAdams, who I know quite well, is a fine, as you say, a fine person. And she really went beyond the call of duty, you know.
Oh, she did.
Giving you her cell phone number. That doesn't happen too often. But she's responsible for this thing getting fixed.
It's her response. Her response to the issue was so wonderful and so good. And Joe, you're the one that put me in touch with her, so you get 50% of the credit on this one.
I'll take just a little bit, or I would have come out there and changed the meter myself if I knew what I was doing.
Not in this
well,
weather.
No, that's such a good story to know that a consumer who's had a problem, continuing problem, was taken care of by our utility, DTE. And you know, we're so quick to blame DTE for everything that goes wrong. I mean, you look at the power outages, they get criticized, condemned, and so forth. But, you know, I know guys who climb the poles, or I've known guys who climb the poles. Those are a bunch of tough guys, let me tell you. And to work in the climates that they do, in the dangers that surround them, is a real tribute to a lineman. Now, you have the people inside who care about their customers, such as the case right here. And, you know, we've got to give some credit to the utilities. I know we don't like paying our utility bills. They're too high, etc. I know all of that. But, gosh, you can complain about a chocolate bar just in that same category. And it's so nice to hear a nice story, Bill. It's so nice that you would take the time to join us and to relay this back to our listening audience who heard you and wondered about you, just like I have, to come out with an outcome that's so successful. I'm so pleased for you.
Oh, thank you, Joe. And, you know, as far as what you just said about DTE, I have had numerous experiences with both their field personnel and the people in their office, and these people go above and beyond what they really need to do, no matter, you know, like you said, you hear the complaints and everybody's just, you know, perfectly fine with castigating them every time there's a storm or something like that. But I've had dealings with the people outside, these linemen, and this fella Courtney yesterday. He was outside working in 10-degree weather with 35-mile-an-hour winds with that deadly wind chill out there. I was out there with him for 5 minutes, and it took me an hour to warm back up. And he was out there, and he changed that gas meter. And I told him afterwards, Courtney, I could not do what you do. When I was 20 years old, and I was, you know, full of vim and vinegar and a real tough guy, I couldn't do what these guys do. It's amazing watching these guys climb up these poles, working on live wires, and they come out in the middle of the night in rainstorms and snowstorms and in this kind of weather. And it's just, I'm just proud to know some of these people and to have a relationship with some of them. I really am.
Well, that's very nice of you to call and your kind words and so forth. As a matter of fact, I want you to know, I'm going to make a little tape of this hour of the radio program. So Derek Stone, behind the glass, I need a little tape of this program because I'm going to give that tape to Jennifer McAdams. She's going to be proud to hear your voice.
Well, that's good. And when she listens to this, Jennifer, I appreciate your help so much. And we need to tell people a little bit more about their home appliance service too, Joe. Make sure you tell people about that because that's an important thing they do.
Of it. And people have to be careful what they're offered in the terms of service contracts, on extended contracts on their major home appliances. They have to shop smartly. They have to know what they're going to pay. And our utilities, DTE, and Consumers Energy have great programs for our listeners and for every consumer in the state of Michigan. Bill, I can't say thank you enough times. I'm just so pleased that everything was taken care of, and that was my major concern and why I just got involved with this a little bit. But, hey, it's wintertime, and you can't be without a furnace, and a furnace failing on you in these kinds of climates. So
yes.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And a big thank you directly from my heart.
Yes, and I thank you as well. And everybody, drive safely out there. It's nasty today.
No, it is. And it's going to be that way all day, and I think tomorrow as well, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Joe. And I'll talk to you later, and thanks for taking the call.
You call me anytime. The lines are open for you and everybody listening this morning. The area.
And that was my time with the Appliance Doctor.